Welcome, Traveler. This build has two modes: Explosive Shot, zooming over the map without having to worry about reload. And versus bosses, we're talking about the full unload. 24 Explosive Grenade, 24 Gas Grenades, 24 Stun Grenades. He's just going up in flames before you can even react. It took me 8 hours to fly from level 1 to 65, and then only 4 more bonus hours to already sit at level 83. And that's all solo self-found. You don't even need to go to the market a single place because the build is so strong. Pinnacle bosses, not a single problem. Your 4th Ascension, a joke. The defense on fully juiced tier 16 maps, 2000 life, 70% evasion rating, and tons of deflect. We ain't dying anymore. No energy shield needed. Let me show you the gameplay loop. We get a fully juiced tier 16 map here, and you're simply zooming forward, spamming your explosive shot. And as you're heavy stunning enemies, that's going to be your reload tag. Very simple. You just have to zoom forward. And if you face a rare enemy, you actually drop one grenade, one single click on your explosives, and you have the enemies already killed. Now we're cursed by temporal chains. That's a bit unfortunate because it's slowing us down. But that doesn't really matter, right? We're just keep on going. And dying is not on the menu. Like they don't do enough damage, and or we simply kill them on range and don't have to wait for the explosions of the grenades. I mean, even if I throw grenades, since I instantly shoot with my explosive shot into it, there's no waiting. There's not this delayed gratification that you sometimes get with Merc builds. Nah, I can just simply zoom forward and keep spamming and spamming and spamming, and it's not slow at all. Kind of beautiful, absolutely fun to play. And against bosses, we put all our explosive grenades right in front of his feet, then our oil grenade for the elemental exposure, and start spamming gas grenades into him. The interesting part about gas grenades is we shoot 6 at the same time, and they get the payload gem with a total 65% chance to explode twice. What's going to happen is you're going to shoot 6, 12, 18, 24 grenades. All of them do the impact 5,000 damage, and then they're going to erupt 28,000 possible. And that would be 24 grenades times 1.5, because not every grenade explodes twice. It's probably half of them with a 65% chance. So we get 36 grenade explosions times the 28,000 damage. Yeah, that's an absolute amazing possible nuke. Now, how are we making the explosive shot go so bonkers? First, you want rapid attacks, because rapid attacks helps with the shooting itself, but also with the reload speed. Then we get multi-shot. And multi-shot is interesting because you now shoot 3 bolts, and since we are Deadeye with the Ascension for the bonus projectile, we shoot another 4th bolt. So instead of just doing 10,000 damage, you actually have the 40,000 damage coming out of you like that. And this is without actually going for any kind of critical strike. So we could probably put all our grenade points away, fully choose critical strike, and see how much more damage we could deal. Then you want the nimble reload, because you might hit a point where you didn't heavy stun and you didn't actually reload with a double barrel. Therefore, you want to reach that point where click click is really instant. And then we get stun 2 for the 70% bonus stun buildup, and also double barrel. Double barrel gives us an extra bolt, so we have 2 bolts at any given point. And then if we heavy stun an enemy, we automatically reload. And this is not a chance to automatically reload. No, I will if I heavy stun an enemy with them. And I will heavy stun, because explosive shot, surprisingly, is mostly physical damage. Yep, we convert some physical into fire, but mostly we do physical, so we have a huge portion of stun happening here. And in order to boost this even further, we use some weapon swap points for grenade detonation time, and then the crossbow bonus reload time. You could alternative go down here. This interesting point says bolts fired by the crossbow attacks have a 30% chance to not expand ammunition if you've reloaded recently. The recently tag says past 4 seconds. And since we're zooming, this would absolutely make sense to take. Our second big damage are not our explosive grenades. The problem with them is you put them down and you get to wait, or you get to shoot them. This works for rare enemies in between, but as you're going through the map, you want those instant explosions, and that's where the flash grenades come in. It has almost 0 detonation timer. You pretty much put them out and they just erupt. They throw enemies over and they blind them. The flash grenade does only 14,000 damage, but hey, it shoots out 6 of them and they have a chance to erupt twice as well. For this, you'll need multi-shot 2, then cooldown recovery, so they're always up. You never not want to be able to actually explosive shot. Then heft. Most of the damage the thing does is physical damage, and then putting a heft on it, well, it's quite hefty. Sorry for the pun. And lastly, we put on Life Leech. Leech physical attack damage from supported skills as life, and that has helped tremendously during mapping, especially if you're clustered up in between a lot of opponents. You take some chaos ground damage and what's not sits. To actually put down the stun grenades and just soak back some life. Easy peasy. As a final gem, we could probably play Brutality 3. This does 30% more physical damage, quite a lot. The supported skills do no case and elemental damage, that's fine. But hits with supported skills have a 20% chance to ignore enemy physical damage reduction. Seems like a perfect match made in heaven for this flash grenade to do even more. There's an interesting thing I forgot to include in the gameplay behind me, and that is our companion. Yeah, because we do actually have a companion. I just tend to deactivate him in town because he gets quite annoying. And that little bugger would be the Frozen Mandibles, that absolute terror end, which is shooting out frost damage around it, and it breaks armor. Mine at least does. The Frozen Mandibles give me currently a haste aura. Haste aura in this case is 20% increased attack and cast speed, plus 10% movement speed. Boom, and it always keeps up with you. Then we break armor, and we break significant armor. Usually I would use armor break corrosion on the gas grenade, but that is not needed because the Frozen Mandibles are just zooming besides you doing their business. Supported the Mandibles are by the Minion Mastery and the Elemental Army. I could technically take Loyalty to have him soak up some damage, but that wasn't even needed. The Frozen Mandibles you get in the interlude from the Ashen Forest. The Ashen Forest has an anthill with a checkpoint in front of it, and you pretty much just respawn a checkpoint, respawn a checkpoint, respawn a checkpoint, until you get one with what you need. Extra physical damage aura, or in my case, the haste aura. Breaks armor is really good. Periodic night lightning damage striking. You could give him the temporal bubble, that he goes around and slows down enemies too. Choose wisely, but don't miss out on your companion. He's quite amazing. Just deactivate him in town or you're going to have those frost explosions drive you nuts. Good. With the explosive shot, the companion, and flash grenade, you have your mapping portion laid out for you. That's it. You don't actually need anything more. And in order to stay alive during that mapping portion, we have Wind Dancer together with Herald of Ash. Herald of Ash is a nice way to have your explosive shot spread its damage further to everyone around with heavy overkills, and Wind Dancer gives us that easy survival. Recommendation for supports on Wind Dancer would be blind. If enemies hit you, they get actually blinded. Very useful. And you can also put Life Leech on it. Yes, it sounds a bit weird, but Wind Dancer, when it rebuffs enemies, uses Gale Force. And Gale Force in that case does 5,000 physical damage. It's based on your attack damage. Why not have that? Why not have it give you life if you get hit? Enemy hits you, they get knocked back, they get rebuffed, they get blinded, and the damage you dealt to them actually does restore some life. On top of the flash grenade you're doing anyways. I mean, ever getting knocked down while you're sprinting? Yeah, Wind Dancer is going to keep you alive. Now the other grenades, the gas grenade, the oil grenade, and the explosive grenade, plus the rapid shot, are only needed for bossing. What does the rapid shot do? It gives you heat, and if you quality it up, it gives you more heat. That means before you start a boss fight, as the boss does his getting ready phase and whatsoever, you can shoot this out with insane attack speed, get up to 30 heat or 45 heat, and then 1, 2, 3. You shoot super explosive grenades. These super explosive grenades get another 50% damage as fire damage and consume 15 heat. So you can shoot 3 salvos of them as ultra boosted. I mean, we set 30,000 damage we do already, plus the minus elemental resistance, and then the next 50% on the tippity toppity on 6 grenades. Right? This is like we're shooting 6 grenades out. We're not shooting 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 50% boosted on all 6 of them. On all 18 we're going to be putting on the ground. Preferable before you start dropping the explosives, you're going to put down your oil grenade. As you might notice, my explosives are actually not moving. My gas grenades are bouncing. My flash grenades are bouncing. My oil grenades are bouncing. But my explosive grenades, they instantly stick to the ground. And that's because we're playing something amazing called adhesive grenades. It seems like a waste of a slot. Supported grenade skills stop where they initially land. But if you consider that we are Deadeye, and we're getting the skills for an additional projectile, plus we have the far shot, or the close shot. Projectiles deal more hit damage to targets in the first 3.5 meters of their movement, and scale up to 20% after 7 meters, or you take the other way around, which would be point blank. projectiles deal 20% more hit damage to targets in the first 3.5 meters. And now with these explosive grenades sticking, the first 3.5 meters, that's the first 3.5 meters. And you can especially make them stick to one boss really well. If you shoot otherwise, they might separate and not necessarily overlap, all of them. Well, if this would be the boss, all of them are going to overlap. All of them are going to overlap. All of them are going to overlap. There's no question if they're going to overlap. Other supports are multi-shot 2, magnified area. It's really nice to just have a bigger area. However, you could leave the magnified area out since we have our enemy 100% with overlapping damage. Still, it doesn't hurt if you then drop the grenade during mapping to just cover a bigger circle and kill more enemies. Adhesive grenades with a payload, and then last but not least, elemental armament 2. Alternative, close combat works, 30% more attack damage if they're 1 meter away from you, since you're just going to stand right next to the boss and put it right in front of his feet. Or we're going in the different direction and choose concentrated effect for the 30% more area damage, less area of effect. However, again, since you're putting this directly on the boss, as you're standing so close to them, it works. You're using it as a super boss nuke. We don't need it as a map clear anymore. We got to get away from this idea. We need more area effect. The more area effect is good for the explosive shot. It's good for the stun grenades. The explosive grenade doesn't need it. Our gas grenade is currently sitting at the elemental armament 2 together with a multi-shot 2 and then with payload for the double explosion. As a fourth support, you could play elemental focus because we're not looking to inflict ailments with gas grenade. That's what our explosive grenade is doing. And it would be another 25% elemental damage. This doesn't help with the impact portion that much because that's mostly physical, but the explosion is pretty much all fire damage. And getting another 25% elemental damage on that 28,291 damage, it sounds pretty good. Your oil grenade wants to have the potent exposure together with a persistent ground 2 and also magnified area to just cover the biggest area possible, that if the boss is going around, he's always standing in oil, he's always burning, he's always getting his elemental stuff, he's always getting the resistances reduced. The rapid shot to shoot as fast as possible has rapid attacks 3 and streamlined rounds. That is a huge, enormous boost. And the last two are completely useless because we only need the rapid shot to really give us that heat. We just need attack speed. Anything that gives more attack speed as a support is helpful. I put a nimble reload on that if I swap from my explosive grenades over to the rapid shot, it's just faster, right? I just want to load it as quick as possible in. There is Rigwald's Ferocity to boost attack speed if the skill is in weapon set 1. That's easily possible. The problem is that Rigwald's Ferocity would cost me 38 Exalted, and it's simply not worth it. I don't want to spend that. Now to the passive tree, and here we're trying to boost the crossbow and the grenade as much as we can. Starting with a lot of projectile damage in the beginning with attack speed, then we get the bonus evasion rating. We pick up a slight reduction in attack speed, but it's the bonus stun build-up that we want here with the bonus projectile damage. Then a lot of projectile damage on the side too. Brings us to travel over for the 40% more two-handed weapon damage with a slight reduction of attack speed. But again, we really want to have the bonus 40% damage with more evasion rating if I hit an enemy recently and the bonus grenade cooldown use. This is an all skill, and then these three are weapon swap because I only need the bonus projectile as I then throw grenades, but my crossbow does not need a bonus grenade projectile. My crossbow would rather have the quicker reload speed, and then my grenades want to have the reduced detonation time with a bonus damage. That reduced detonation time works wonders for the flash grenade to make it erupt instantly. Then we're going down for the grenades have a chance to activate a second time. This is an all-time point, and then we do 1, 2, 3 weapon swap points for my crossbow not spending ammunition as it reloaded recently from heavy stunning. And if it then didn't work with the heavy stunning, it might simply just not conserve a bolt, and you can see I can shoot endlessly. We take bonus area damage, and that area damage is meant for both skills. Technically, I could make this a weapon swap point again, because the cooldown recovery rate is only needed for our grenades. However, you want that cooldown recovery rate to also happen as I am shooting my crossbow, to always be up on your stun grenades, on your whatever, right? We don't want to make it shorter as we shoot our crossbow. Now, I could have gone here through the projectile damage or the 33% increased damage against enemies affected by elements, But honestly, 1 to 3 points, I was just faster through to take myself the damage penetrates elemental resistance with a lot of elemental damage and attack damage. We get movement speed and evasion rating into more evasion rating, and we don't get slowed or get movement speed penalties as we shoot our crossbow shots. With more elemental damage, attack damage, and chance to maim, more movement speed and skill speed, plus another chunk of evasion rating while we're moving, and we're always moving as we're shooting our crossbow. Then on the side, that would be our evasion rating together with evasion rating and a lot of deflection on the tippity top. And for my anoint on the amulet, I choose Agile Succession to get another 6% increased attack speed and 30% increased evasion rating if you've hit an enemy recently. That boosts me up by another 90% in total. First, I gotta move to get my evasion rating up, then I gotta hit things, and I sit almost at 70% while actively firing, while my chest piece is only 1,000 evasion rating. That's weak. This is a solo self-found chest piece, right? It could be 2,000 evasion rating. Yeah, I might get even tankier like this. The helmet is nice. The helmet has a lot of evasion rating. The boots are not so good. They have a low evasion rating, but 30% movement speed, so I gotta keep this. Important is that you're checking on that maximum life. You know the deal, right? We want to have as much maximum life as possible. We're sitting at 2,000 with that almost 70% as I then hit enemies, and the resistances being 50, 50, 50, 50. I'm not dying. Lastly, the most important thing to get is the flat damages on your rings, because that always helps. And then a very broken crossbow. And yes, this is found and crafted. I get it with 183% physical damage and the 92 physical bonus. It started as a 600 base crossbow. This is a one-time find in forever. They could sell this for multiple divines, but I don't want to. It's the ultimate weapon. It's so insane. Interestingly enough, it also leeches physical damage as mana. And, well, my explosive shot does still do a huge portion of physical damage. As I zoom through maps, I don't actually have to reload that much. It's going quite crazy. The fun part right now is I have 1 skill point left over and I don't need anything. I have all the meaningful evasion rating nodes in the vicinity. Sure, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 next levels. We could get another 70% permanent evasion rating. We could get ourselves deflection evasion rating mixes. We don't need it, really. Do we need more damage? Is there any damage we wish to take? We have all the damage as well. We're doing insane numbers. We could get increased attack damage here, 1, 2, 3. And then while we have an ally in our presence, we get another 35% increased attack damage. So that would probably be if I want to have way more DPS than I already have. But I showed you the calculations. I've shown you the bosses dying super quick. Do I even need more damage? Well, maybe for Uber Arbiter, maybe for tier 3 pinnacles, right? So I could argue that the next 4 levels might be wisely spent to take presence present. For our jewels, we have been mostly focusing on the evasion rating and also attack speed, plus then projectile damage if I actually picked some of that up with evasion rating again. I could put another point in here to just slot another jewel socket. That would be a waste to not do, so let's actually put that skill point and put another jewel in with evasion rating, projectile damage, attack speed. You name it, it's available. What do you say, ladies and gentlemen? Instant explosions with a chance to absolutely unload on your opponents and never worrying about crossbow reload speeds again. That sounds quite good. That sounds quite amazing, doesn't it? Give it a try and tell me how it went. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments below. And if you want to craft that amazing crossbow that I wield here right now, there's the video that actually explains the step-by-step process. Enjoy and have a fantastic good day.